From Dublin, Ireland, this is a Phantom 105.2 podcast. Check out phantom.ie for full podcast and programme information.
There are people who would regard the album An End Has a Start as having its birth in Ireland because you recorded it in Grouse Lodge. Do you have any kind of affiliation or affinity with the place?
I don't know, but I mean, I look back very fondly at that time we spent in Grouse Lodge. You know, it's a great place, and I'd love to work there again. I think there's definitely a lot of Guinness in this record. You know, we drank a lot of Guinness making it, so it's in there somewhere. You know, and I mean, it's all like I say. Since we first came to Dublin, we played Whelan's the first time. I think we were supporting The Departure. I remember that first time we've played it, and that was amazing. It felt special then, and before we got anywhere near the second record. So it's a good place for us. Yeah, definitely.
I spent a little time this afternoon sort of looking at older interviews that you had done just after The Back Room had come out, which is an excellent record. When I read those interviews, I kind of had this impression that you were kind of sailing through the whole process, looking at things from a third-person perspective, not really. It was like being in a kind of carnival ride where things just happened around you and you weren't really, you were just sort of amazed and mesmerized by this journey you were taking. Would you say that was a fair statement?
I think so, yeah. You know, we have a lot of, you know, back then we had a lot of belief in the songs and we were passionate about them, but we're not the type of person that expected it to happen. You know, there's a belief, and somewhere deep inside, we thought people would like the songs. But as it happens, as it unfolds, as you hear your song on the radio, as you make the first record, and you see it on the shelves, you know, it is a shock, and it is kind of it's an amazing feeling. You know, to be able to do for a living, quote unquote, you know, what you're passionate about. You know, and so we've never let ourselves take that for granted. You know. We wouldn't say, you know, we're lucky. We believe we're good at what we do, but you know, it is a nice, you know, when there are people there singing your songs back at you in a crowd or sold out show or whatever, you know, it does validate, you know, what you're doing. You know, because bad reviews and bad press and stuff, which we do get, you know, that does sting. But every time something, you know, you get on stage or whatever, it kind of validates what you do. And so yeah, I think there was a bit of a not bewilderment, just stunned, you know, like rabbits in headlights, you know.
Is it still a bit of a carnival ride for you?
I think it has to be, yeah. You know, it's still. I think we didn't really stop between the two records. You know, we barely stopped. We barely paused for breath, and it feels like we've been touring we have really been touring for about 4 years, and you know, on this UK tour, and we go back. There's some of the biggest shows we've ever done, and it does feel, you know, like whoa, you know, this is pretty crazy still. That's good. It's got to be exciting. You know, it can't become a routine.
Just in terms of the energy, okay, you had 4 singles out of the first album, The Back Room. You're set to release your 4th single from An End Has a Start, and it seems like you just spit out singles at a furious pace. Are you going to gun for 5 off of this album?
I don't think so. No, not maybe in Europe. I think the record's run its course now, pretty much. An End Has a Start. I think we're on the, you know, the festivals will be the last time we're playing. I guess, you know, in this campaign, if you want to sound like a businessman, before we stop to make another record and do other things. And singles, I don't really give two hoots about, to be honest. They're little adverts for the album, and some people think certain songs work better on radio than others, and you know, we want people to listen to the record as a whole. And I'd never really thought of us as a single band, but I guess we are in a lot of ways. It's
they come shooting out now. Whether that's something that the marketing department for your label does, or something that you, I mean, but somewhere along the line, somebody has to say, yeah, that one, and that one, and that one. Do you have any say in that? Yeah,
okay. I think there's a very, you know, especially when we're recording this record, it was very quick that Smokers was going to be a comeback song with a bit more impact than just a song that was more in line with what we did on The Back Room. You know, it said something with that song. And yes, there are songs on the new record that are similar to things we became famous for, you know, Munich or Bullets. So, you know, End As a Start, the song itself was very similar to that, and then that became the next single. And we kind of thought with the last one we wanted to show a different side to us, a side to us that's always been there, but we've never put it out as a single before. Turns out it's probably going to bomb, but it's nice for people to be exposed to. You might not know that we have that side to our band, you know, with the new single.
You said something earlier that was kind of interesting. I imagine your comments lead me to believe that you're very sort of an album-oriented person in terms of the way you would personally listen to records yourself. What do you listen for when you can say, well, that's a great album?
You know, obviously I like records that take you on a journey and have different kind of styles, and you feel like you're kind of, you know, going up and down with the band, and they're taking you different places. But then some of the greatest records are very just like, you know, Is This It by The Strokes? It's just kind of bang, isn't it? And
it's not something you could scramble up the order and it would make different sense. That album really, is it?
No, exactly. So, I don't know. It's just that kind of quality that just greatness, I guess. I want some, you know, I'm just very lucky to have a copy of the new Elbow record, which hasn't been released yet, which I've been kind of absorbing the last few days, and it just the way it kind of floats by, it's nothing. It doesn't slap you around the face. It has more grace. It has more. It's a beautiful record. It's a beautiful thing. So. Beautiful band.
You have a lot of. This sort of seems to be a great affinity between Editors and Elbow. Where does that come from, and how does it manifest itself?
Well, I mean, they were, their first record was a record that all four of us were listening to at university before we got signed, and we'd all cite it as one of major influences, kind of as us as musicians. And very early on, a guy got in contact with us because he liked Bullets, especially like Bullets, and he liked Munich, and he's just like, "Do you want to do a tune with us?" And we were like, "Yeah, Christ, this is one of our." Heroes, almost, and invited us up to Manchester. We did a song together, and we've been friends ever since. Really,
he's a lovely fella too.
He's a great fella. Yeah, he's an amazing guy. Yeah, a really warm person, and it's one of those, being in a band, new band, and then suddenly meeting someone you admire or put up on a pedestal, and then realizing. They're a little bit older than we are, but their dynamic as people is very similar to the way we are as a band. I think we're very similar, just as people, let alone and as admiring them as musicians. And we became friends, and we worked in their studio, and Craig, the keyboardist, and Guy produced one of our songs. So yeah, it was magic, real magic.
And just in terms of the albums, the An End Has a Start seems to have a kind of a weird sort of optimism about it compared to the Back Room. Were you trying to back away from sort of being slated as the new Joy Division or whatever they're calling you?
I didn't really think about it too much. There is optimism and there's love and warmth on the record. Musically, there's more things going on as well. But lyrically, there are some songs which deal with death as well, on there. So I've never really kind of centered myself to really think about what I'm singing about. I just do what comes naturally and what I'm feeling. And the songs are based around things that have happened to me or experiences. And so a lot of the songs, the kind of excitement of being in a band and touring. And seeing the world, and personally, my situation had changed from the first record, and so there is love and warmth there too, and then also this kind of scary as you get older, I think your realization of things being finite, things coming to an end, and a couple of things in my life